Well, hello everybody. It's Brother Todd with your Victory Minute, and I hope you guys and gals out there are all having a great day. Y'all forgive the sombrero today. It's pretty bright out here, and where I'm having to stand to kind of get my point across today, it's a little bright, and the bald spots in my head make it glare so bad you can't see what's going on your little TV screen there. But the reason I drove all the way out here, and some of y'all, if you've watched these minutes for a while, you've seen me out here before. This is a field that my partner and I use to raise Sudan grass. But the reason I'm standing out here today is kind of twofold. Something I really want to talk to you about, the reality that we've been dealing with ever since this COVID pandemic began. So bear with me just a second. I hope it'll be something that'll help you, whether you're a member, a regular attender of Victory, or you catch these things regular, even if you're just a Christian that stop by, and especially maybe if you're a pastor or a life group leader, in some way or another, you're leading out and serving in what God is doing in this world. Well, let's get to why I brought you out here. I know you can't hardly see it right here where I'm at, but if you look back off in that distance, right there alone, you see a tree line. And the reason that tree line is there is because the levee of the Trinity River to the Trinity River, as it kind of winds back here along behind Rosser, Texas, and headed down south, is right there. The river takes a big bend and starts heading down real south, and the levee goes with it. All right, you just need to know that for a reason. And then, of course, right behind you is this little old plowed field that we use. All right, what am I trying to tell you today? Well, if you keep going around that levee and down a little piece, a few years back, it was raining real hard, and that levee broke. And like the government will do, they brought some outfit in here from way out of state, somewhere up in Alaska or somewhere, fill some quota or something they had. And when they did, the people that farmed and ranched that land down there beyond them couldn't get them to understand that they weren't fixing it far enough down, and they weren't fixing it in the right spot. Basically, they said, it's all we're getting paid to do, it's all we're going to do. Well, it rained again and flooded every cotton picking thing. Out in that field was wheat. It was up. It was ready for harvest. But it was literally standing in water about this much. The top of that wheat was up above the water, and that was it. And I'm talking about a huge, huge wheat field. One of the largest landowners around here had it. Well, I was sitting there at the cafe one day, and the old boy that runs all his stuff for him came up, driving up, and they had one of the biggest combines. In fact, the biggest combine I've ever seen in my life. The wheels were wider than I am tall. And they had two of them. And they were taking these huge combines. And we know, what in the world are y'all doing? He said, well, we're harvesting that wheat. And like, how? And they said, well, that thing will go through the water. And it's so big, and it has such a wide imprint. They were literally driving through them bottomlands as they stood in water and cutting the tops off that wheat. Why? Because it was worth it. It was worth the trouble and the expense. Now, you say, preacher, again, I'm not following you. Now, stay with me. Jesus used agriculture a lot in his illustrations. One, it was something people understood, but two, you got to remember the visible things showed the invisible things. Jesus often talked about a harvest. He told one group one day to his disciples, don't say it's 4 months to the harvest. Look, the harvest is white now. And even though COVID is going on, we still have a harvest. It's so much harder to get it in. You kind of following me? But it's still worth it. Yes, it's harder. Yes, it's more difficult. Yes, it's more expensive. I don't know what in the world it costs to get those machines down there. I don't know what it cost them in manpower. He didn't make as much on that wheat, I'm sure, as they was planning or hoping. But you know what? It was precious enough to get it in. How precious is a lost soul? I understand the difficulties we're dealing with. I understand that one of our pastors said the other day in staff meeting, he said, I wished our leaders in our country had never used the word social distancing. I wish they'd said physical distancing. But what's happened is, and I think we all recognize it, is people got used to being isolated. They've got that electronic outreach. They're using that as it being good enough, but me and you both know it ain't good enough. There's nothing like, me and you can sit here and play this on this, do this on this video, but you know what? It ain't nothing like me and you standing here talking face to face. No. Now, you can get something out of this minute, but you won't ever get as much as if me and you was standing out in this field kicking these clods together thinking about it, right? If Zoom works so well, then all the kids, they would have closed all the schoolhouses down and said it just works better. No, there's something about us being together. And I know it's hard to get people to come to church and those kinds of things, and they've gotten used to kind of doing without it. But guys, let me tell you something. They're still worth it. They're still worth it. Jesus came and died for people because they were worth it to him. And the harvest is still ready, even though it is so hard to get it done. You say, preacher, I'm with you, man, but what can we do? Well, I'll tell you one thing you can do. You can do right now, and it's got to do with me being backed up to this plowed field. Now, here in a little while, as the weather gets better and the summer comes and goes, if we don't put any seed in that field, it's not going to bring any Sudan grass. Only a fool would think that it would, right? You don't expect to harvest where you hadn't done any work. Guys, what I'm saying is right now, while it's so difficult, one of the things me and you can be doing is we can be preparing ground. We can be planting seed. You know what I'm talking about. What did he say? He said, he goes forth weeping, bearing precious seed. Will no doubt come again rejoicing, bringing his sheaves, his harvest with him. Guys, we can sow the seed of the gospel. We can be preparing our hearts and praying for God to prepare people's hearts. The Bible says that when that seed fell on good ground, it brought forth an increase, right? And good ground's got to be prepared. Now, I'm going to tell you something. You ain't never going to be more like Jesus than when you are working at bringing some others into the kingdom. You're never going to be more like Jesus than when you're praying for God to convict souls and God to convict the church to have a heart for souls and for God to give people a desire to outreach and reach out. Some of you older folks, you can't go out and do what you used to could do, but sister girl, you can pray. You can pray like you've never prayed before. Some of you guys, you're retired now. You say, I'm retired, I'm bored. Well, how about give us an extra hour of prayer? Be praying for the pastors, praying for the churches, praying for the heart of God's people, that they would see the need to reach out. Because even though the world's got good at being socially distanced, there's a lot of us church people got pretty good at it too. We just got to deal with that. We got to get that gospel seed out. You can identify somebody that you'd like to see get saved this year. You can start interceding for them. You can start investing in them. You can call them, you can send them, you can do nice things for them. You can build that relationship, right? You got time before you ever invite them to church. They can be nervous as all get out about coming during this Omicron spike that we're dealing with. But guys, there ain't nothing stops us from putting seed in that ground. What's your field look like? Is it ready? Is it ready? How's your heart? Maybe it's time you ask God to put the plow in your heart. Maybe it's time God reminded you that you need to be bringing that gospel seed into your life. Remember that old song, I Love to Tell the Story? What's the second verse? As it says, I love to tell the story to those who know it best. They seem hungry and thirsty to hear it like the rest. Ain't nothing about it like hearing about what Jesus has done for us, how he loves us, how he's got a home for us. We can know these things, but we need to hear them. We need to be thinking about them. We need to be asking God, stir us towards what you're doing in the world. The harvest, it's worth it. Might be trouble to get it. I remember them boys in big red combines. I'm going to tell you, it was trouble to get it. But you know what? They got it, right? Sometimes it's hard. Out here banging around, sometimes you don't even know if the field's fertile. In fact, I looked over there, that spot right there, I don't even know if it'll ever grow grass. But you know what? We're going to plow it. We're going to fertilize it. We're going to work it. We're going to do it. We're going to believe that God is going to bring an increase, all right? How about you get your mind on the work? Get your mind on the field. Get your mind on sowing seed and see what God might just do, because the souls of men and women, boys and girls, are worth it. Let's don't be giving up. Let's don't give up just because it's hard. Let's don't give up just because it's difficult. Come on now. Early church for 300 years, they couldn't even build a building for folks running around burning them down. We got tremendous freedom. We got tremendous opportunity. And my little deal is messing up, and this boy's about to get replaced. But until then, hopefully he just keeps messing up there at the end. So we love you. We're praying for you. Y'all have a great day. Bye-bye.